Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You can beat President Putin. President Zelensky. Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she's not qualified to be president.
The world's eyes were on Joe Biden this week as he hosted the Nato summit in Washington, D.C. and addressed his first solo press conference in about 8 months.
For the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO.
And while Biden's performance wasn't as disastrous as the debate against Donald Trump 2 weeks ago, it has done little to ease concerns about whether the 81-year-old is capable enough to run for office again. One of the biggest gaffes was at a NATO event. Biden introduced Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as President Putin, prompting loud gasps in the audience.
And now I want to hand it over to the President of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You can beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Biden quickly corrected himself, but the headline was already made. He later tried to justify the verbal misstep.
And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
Then later, at what the White House dubbed as a big boy press conference, Biden didn't even realize when he called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
While such slip-ups can't disqualify Biden from the presidency, it's making Democrats even more nervous ahead of the convention in August, especially since the president is showing no signs of stepping aside.
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out. For the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway. And so what I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events from Wisconsin to North Carolina to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win.
He dismissed the concerns about his campaign that were posed again and again for a full hour by a room full of reporters, and promised that he was fighting not for his legacy, but to finish the job he started when he took office in 2021. In a bid to reassure his party, donors and voters, Biden claimed he had passed 3 neurological tests.
Well, look, 2 things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day.
The press conference only gave Donald Trump more ammunition against Biden. In a post on his Truth Social site, Trump wrote, "I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president. Great job, Joe." Many Republicans believe that Trump's return to the White House will be easier with Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket.
Our victory was so absolute that Joe's own party now wants him to throw in the towel and surrender the presidency after a single 90-minute performance. They want Crooked Joe out of the race. It's a shame the way they're treating him. But don't feel sorry for him. He's a very bad guy.
After the press conference, more Democrats called on the president to quit. Amid growing unease within the party, former President Barack Obama and ex-House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have privately discussed concerns about Biden's campaign. Pelosi recently said it's up to the president to decide. We are all encouraging him to make a decision because time is running short. Peter Welch was the first Democratic senator to publicly call on Biden to withdraw. In an op-ed in the Washington Post, the Vermont senator wrote, "He saved us from Donald Trump once and wants to do it again. But he needs to reassess whether he is the best candidate to do so. In my view, he is not. Democratic donors have warned that funding for the November election effort is drying up because of President Biden's refusal to step aside. It's becoming more difficult for the party to tell voters to ignore the evidence that is right in front of their eyes and to argue that Biden is capable of being president until January 2029.